Welcome to the Ultimate Farm Wife podcast. On this channel, we're going to be discussing all things marrying a farmer, moving to the land, and becoming integrated with a family farming operation. Whether you're moving to the farm for the first time or whether you're moving back into a family farming operation, we discuss the ins and the outs of all of it. So let's jump into today's episode.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of So You've Married a Farmer, Now What? This is going to be a slightly different episode to our usual one. We are still talking for Season 7, value adding and integrating across family farming businesses. We are talking bees and beekeeping with Claire today.
Hi, how are you?
Claire, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and the business.
Yeah, great. So I'm a part of a multi-generational beekeeping business. Mum and Dad started beekeeping way back in the day. Dad actually left high school in year 10, hated school, looked for a job in the paper, and beekeeping apprentice came up. So he applied for the job and loved it and never looked back. So he started his beekeeping journey working for a gentleman, Murray Charlton, out of Orange. But beekeeping is very nomadic, so travelling all across the state and interstate in drought times. And then, Mum and Dad and Mum got together, and slowly but surely they started their own beekeeping gig sort of early 1980s. Yep. And then all of us children were born and we grew from there. So, a lot of people will call us a bee farmer. Apiarist is the correct term, but we just call ourselves beekeepers, but obviously we're very much a part of the agricultural industry and play vital parts in the industry. You know, not just producing honey, our product, and there's very, very many byproducts as well, but pollination services and, pollinating different crops all around the state and interstate. We're very much a part of the farming community.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And so, Claire, let's talk about your transition first into the business. Did you always know that you wanted to come back to the family business, or were you thinking initially maybe you wanted to do something else first?
Yeah, not at all. So, completed year 12 with yourself at Orange High, and I always said to myself, I'm not going to be involved in the family business. So, growing up as a kid and a teenager, always worked in the business, in our retail outlet on the weekends, or, you know, driving around the bees with Dad, packing honey, the whole lot. So I was always involved as a child and a teenager. After I completed year 12, I said, I'm just going to work in the business for a year, earn some money and go overseas for a little while. Well, I did that and then returned back from overseas and I've never looked back, stayed in the family business. I've worked in various roles across the years. And now I'm in my current role, which is a bit of everything, but I'm involved in some of the businesses, so we've really diversified over the years into different facets. So my current role, I'm the operations manager for Goldfields Honey. So that's the packing side of our business. So we buy in the IBCs of honey off our sister company who produce the honey and pack it into smaller containers. Aldi Supermarkets is our biggest client, so I'm involved in that. I also have a business with my brother. We make and distribute beeswax candles, and we have a sub-business, Lockwood Beekeeping Supplies, of Sam's main Lockwood Beekeeping Supplies, that we're now going to be supplying Varroa treatments for the new mite that's come in that's going to devastate us all for a little while, but we'll learn to live with it. So yeah, that's a bit about the, early stages and where my current role is now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've alluded to there being more siblings in the business now. So, Claire, you're one of 4 kids, and you all have your own avenues, which are part of, the beekeeping world and all part of intersecting businesses. So as more and more siblings have come into the business, can you tell us a little bit about how they found their place as part of whether it was Lockwood Honey or part of the, where...
Yep, very good. So to start with, obviously, as I said, it started with mum and dad. Dad used to run, 10 or 20 beehives as a side little gig. He would just pack honey from our shed behind our house at home and distribute to some of the local shops in Orange and markets. Dad sadly passed away in 2017, but at that stage he was running about 8,000 beehives. We've now built up to, we did have about 12,000 hives, but sadly last year we had 2,000 destroyed in the Varroa incursion. So we're sitting about that 10,000 mark again. We're one of the biggest beekeepers in New South Wales. So throughout the growth years and things, all of my siblings have never really left the business. Some of them have gone off. John in his younger years went to Canada and studied a bit more of the beekeeping side over there for a year. But pretty well everybody's always stayed involved. And through that time, Dad was really good at diversifying. That's really mum and dad's key to business, is diversification is the key. If you're having a bad season and something's not going well, you've got something else that you can fall back on to keep you going. So Mark wasn't really into the beekeeping side of things, and he actually worked at a local hatted restaurant in Orange when he was a teenager, so loves hospitality. Dad had always wanted to open a retail honey outlet, so in about 2007, I think, we established the Beekeepers Inn. So that's our retail outlet. We sell our products, honey products down there, and also run a cafe and farm shop selling other local produce. There's some antiques down there and candleware and things like that as well. So that's Mark's domain down there. Mark also has always loved beer, and what better to, another bit of diversification is to create a honey beer. So he created a honey beer and then a ranges of other different beers, and in the last 18 months he's gone into honeymead production, and that's really taken off. It's really sort of a niche product, but because there's not very many other people doing it, he's been really successful in doing that. So that's Mark's domain down there, his brewing and the cafe. They do weddings down there as well. So I was involved down there for a little while until I had kids, and then I decided that late night weddings and weekends and this, that and the other was a bit difficult. So I jumped ship and they needed more help up in the other realm. So as I explained earlier, I came up here. So then we have brother John. He's the eldest in the family, always loved beekeeping since a very young age, was always out with Dad in the trucks, at the hives, loves the whole process. So him and Mum still run Goldfields Honey Australia together. And their main three things are pollination services. So all of their hives go down to almond pollination on the border of Victoria and New South Wales every August. It's actually the largest movement of livestock in Australia, the almond pollination. So they take all the hives down there. So pollination, honey production, obviously. So to be a beekeeper, you've got to be a horticulturalist as well, know when things are flowering, so they're always travelling around. The closer to home we can stay, the cheaper cost-wise it is, fuel costs and working away from home with the employee. We like to stay as local as possible if we can. And then a byproduct of bees is we do beeswax. So we obviously, Sam and I, use that for our candle production, but it's also used for various things, cosmetics, furniture polish. The Indigenous guys use it on their didgeridoos, so we sell that in bulk as well. So that's John's role. And then brother Sam, so we used to, John's business would manufacture in the winter their own bee boxes. So because we're always expanding and growing, that's a need that's always needed to be done. As they grew, they didn't have the time over winter to manufacture their own timber bee boxes. So Sam decided, great, this is a good market. I can, I've got my first customer, brother John. I can manufacture the bee boxes. So Sam went into that, and then there was a huge demand within the industry. So Sam's one of the biggest timberware manufacturers in New South Wales, so he does a lot of that. And then he sort of, off that, has other beekeeping supply products that he sells. Sam got overwhelmed with that, and seeing I was in the office and dealing with a lot of the hobbyists that were coming in for sales, Sam still does the bee supply timberware, but I run the hobbyist retail shop now with Sam. And of recent, the pesky Varroa mites come into our country. So John, Sam and I have started a sub-company. We'll be distributing the treatments to treat the Varroa mites. So that's where Sam fits in. And then we have the queen bee mum, and she's still the owner of a few of the companies, but she's really just oversees everything, even, businesses that her name isn't on, that she's not fully involved in. She's always there for advice. She'll always help out. She's always on the ground. So, yeah, she's here, there and everywhere. My husband, Scott, also works within the business. So he does our work, health and safety for all of the businesses, and also runs our extracting side. So that's the extracting the honey out of the frames into the IBCs, ready to on-sell to the packing side of things. So Scott does that as well. We're very diverse and lots of us involved, and yeah, we track along all right.
I love how diverse everyone is and how you've continued to build companies on companies that are still held by the family, run by the family, and you're all in it together. I absolutely love hearing that side of it.
Yeah.
A lot of our listeners are integrating back into family farming businesses. Sometimes when they come to the farm, there is either the farm isn't quite ready for them to integrate, or there's not a position they can integrate into. So I love hearing the diversity and the opportunities that you've all grasped and been able to value add on the core company for that. When we are integrating into or back into a family farming business, communication and how things all interlock is sometimes some of the biggest hurdles that we can come across. So can you tell me a little bit about how you're all working together, how you keep that communication nice and open? Does mum do a lot of that, or you're all very good at communicating together?
Yeah, so obviously all of our businesses pretty well is like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back a little bit. So in terms of, John produces bulk honey into the IBCs, and he can on-sell to other packers. And in the past, he's had an oversupply of honey. So as well as supplying us, he has on-sold to other packers as well. But it's all in everybody's best interest. If we can get a good price for our honey in the smaller containers, we can give John a better price for his bulk honey than he'll get elsewhere. I think, as you said, open communication is definitely the key to running a successful multi-generational family business. So we're always involved, always keeping in mind that, we like each other most of the time. So we want everybody to do well in their specific sectors. Open communication, and because there's so much that we could diversify in and everybody's interests were different, it made it really easy for us. Mark was interested in the hospitality side of things and more the retail sales. So it just sort of went hand in hand that, and Dad was really good in identifying, all right, you've got an interest in that sort of sector, we can make that happen. And I think another tip too is, don't think that you have to start large with something. Like you said, people have trouble coming back into a business or finding their role. Buy some wheat, turn it into flour, start something small that can grow bigger and get your way in that way and track along. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd like to take a short break in today's episode to give a special shout out to our episode sponsor, Southern Cross Small Arms, and their incredible Taipan X. The Taipan X redefines excellence in the hunting world and extended rifle range, merging the swift action of a hunting rifle with the precision needed for vermin control.
It's truly the pinnacle of the renowned Taipan series evolution. For our ultimate farm wife community and absolutely fabulous listeners, the Taipan X is a practical choice, offering versatility and reliability in a range of agricultural settings that we'll be using on our farms. For more details, check out our corresponding social media tiles or email me. Thank you, Southern Cross Small Arms and their Taipan X for coming on as this episode's sponsor. Now let's get back into today's episode. Communication wise, do you communicate on a semi-formal basis, or do you have like actual business meetings, say once a month or every quarter, where you actually sit down and all discuss the ins and outs?
Yeah, good question. So smaller matters, it's sort of, just talked and this, that and the other. We're very good in, if there's a big issue or a big topic or something new that we have to discuss, we'll definitely all get together and have a meeting, chat it through, come to a resolution. But yeah, just communication, whatever format that is in, whether it's formal meetings and contracts and things like that, is, just remember your family, you want the best for everybody in your family. And yeah, the open communication and finding a strategy and a solution that will work for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you balance the difference between family and business? Is there a clear line? Like if you are getting together for a family meal or something, is there no shop talk, or how do you balance that out?
Yeah, good question. So we're pretty bad. We talk shop even at family dinners and things, but we don't talk serious shop at family dinners, passing comments and how did that go and this, that and the other, that's fine. But we do try to keep, important matters more business-like and, sit down in the office together instead of just over dinner or whatnot. So, family business, you're always got your mind switched on. You're always ticking over. So whenever we're together, the conversation of different things will come up, but any serious matters are always discussed in more a business-like forum in the office. Yeah. But in saying that, people will say, oh, how do you get along with your siblings all the time? Like, we're actually not, we're not together in the same exact place doing the same exact tasks all the time. Yeah. So like John at the moment, really busy time. He's in a different town every second day, out beekeeping. So we get voice messages from him with his communication while he's trucking along on the road and things like that. And Mark's down in the cafe, he's on site, so we might see him once a day, sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes we might not see him for 2 days. So, we're not right in each other's pockets. So Sam and I in the same sort of area the most, but I'm in the office a lot more and he's out in the factory in the wood-wearing workshop, so we're not really in each other's pockets all the time either. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that would definitely help. What do you think would be the biggest hurdle for you integrating into the family farming business, and how would you advise others who may have similar hurdles or problem solving to do to be able to take on that?
Yeah, probably personally, because I started off in the cafe and the weddings. Well, actually, first thing out of school, I packed honey. So I was doing a bit of honey packing in the shed and things like that. But then I went down to the cafe and the weddings and things like that for a long period of time. So when we made the swap for me coming back up here, everyone was on board with, and that was great. But because I'd been out of that realm for quite a while, I had to recreate connections with the business partners that we have, like the beekeepers that we sell gear to and the beekeepers we buy honey off and this, that and the other. So getting those connections back with those people, or creating new connections that, and sometimes we all know that agriculture can be a bit of a male-driven industry, and you get the, oh no, I just want to talk to Sam or something like that, and so you got to win them around. But, now that I've been here for a while, I have those connections with the guys, so sort of integrating back into having that same connection, and beekeepers taking you seriously because you're a woman as well, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Were the key components to winning those clients back over or establishing those new connections? Were there certain things that you were able to say or do that really helped break you back into that role and establish that connection?
Yeah, that's right. Beekeepers, as a lot of agricultural people, are just ordinary, everyday people. They just like to be talked to on their level. You know, they don't want the spiels and they just want genuine people. So just being genuine to them and getting to know them. We're very heavily involved in industry as well. So that goes hand in hand with making those connections. So Sam, my brother Sam, he's the president of the local Central Tablelands Beekeepers Association, and I'm the secretary of that. So we really make great connections through doing that. Sam also is on the executive of the New South Wales Apiarist Association, and my brother John's an executive member of the Australian Honeybee Industry Council. So we really care about our industry, and we love beekeeping, and we want all beekeepers to succeed in the industry. We need all beekeepers. Getting involved in the industry in these volunteer roles is really good for establishing connections and getting involved in the industry.
In a lot of my other interviews, I usually ask about drought and wet season tactics. Do you mind touching on how, we've talked about how the diversity of the business can help with that, but within individual components, how does drought, flood, and then Varroa mite impact the business, and what are the tips, tricks, and advice you'd give to other farmers about how you were able to overcome those areas that they might be able to implement into their businesses? Yeah,
like we said, diversification. That's you've got to know your trade and know what's coming. We don't always know what's coming, but quick thinking with also strategies to back it up. So, as I said, we like to stay local with honey production if we can, because it's a lot more cost effective. But if we have to, we actually lease a lot of public lands for our beehives. So we have to take the risk, and we lease public lands in Queensland and further northern New South Wales that we might only use once every 6 years, but we pay a yearly fee to keep those sites because we're thinking forward. In 5 years' time, there might be another major drought, but Queensland's going all right. Something's flowering up there. We've got that backup plan. So having the backup plans, so that's one of the big keys. And with it, even COVID for us. So obviously the retail outlet during COVID, it completely pretty well shut down. But then our honey production side of things, we couldn't keep up. So we even utilised staff that couldn't work in the cafe anymore to come up and help us get through a really busy time. Everybody was bulk buying and panicking. So it's really good that we can, use that diversification to help out in other sectors of the business. As I said, Aldi Supermarkets is one of our biggest suppliers. During COVID, we were literally calling them saying, guys, it says you have no stock, but you haven't put an order in. And they're saying, just send us a truckload. Send us whatever you can get us. We don't have time to place orders. So, diversification, using what you can within your business in other areas when you have peaks and troughs and that sort of thing. The Varroa mite's really going to affect the beekeeping industry as a whole over the next couple of years. So again, it was a large investment going into the treatment side of things, but that is beneficial for us because we can treat our own hives more cost effectively because we're wholesale buying the product. And we probably will have a bit of a downfall with our beekeeping side. We'll have hive losses and things like that. And, maybe making a little bit of profit off selling the treatments will pick up some of the losses in that area. So it's always looking to the next thing. It's smart business decisions looking, down the track. We always make sure that we have enough honey stores. So honey really lasts forever, kept in the right conditions. So you can store honey and IBCs for a long period of time. So, even if John has a bumper season, he might on-sell some of that honey to other packers if he needs to get a bit of extra income. but he'll always make sure that he's kept enough for those drought times so that he's constantly supplying our business in the packing. That's sort of my tips and tricks, I would say.
Yeah, love that. Absolutely love that. Any other advice you would give to anyone who's integrating into or back into a family farming business?
I just think that open communication is the main factor. Diversification and open communication. That's sort of my factor. Just remembering they are your family, and everybody should want the best for each other, and you can do that by having that open communication. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, we might leave today's interview there, but it was so lovely to reconnect with you and see you again since school days, and we wish you all the best with your diversification and the family farming business. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to give a big thank you to our sponsor, Southern Cross Small Arms, and their exceptional Type NX. This rifle is a game changer for pest control and wildlife management, offering precision and versatility that makes it suitable for both female and male listeners. If you're interested in learning more about the Type NX, head over to our social media tiles dedicated to it or visit the Southern Cross Small Arms website. Thank you very much, Southern Cross Small Arms, for your support. And again, thank you everybody for listening to another episode. We'll see you next time.